Skybound Entertainment has its contract with the struggling Swedish game company Starbreeze Studios and will cease all involvement with Overkill's The Walking Dead, which was released by Starbreeze subsidiary Overkill last year. It's rare to see a stakeholder pull out of a game so abruptly, and even rarer for it to happen mid-release. Overkill's The Walking Dead debuted on PC last November, and console versions were originally meant to launch early this month. Unfortunately, the game apparently did not sell as well on PC as Starbreeze had expected, and the company began cost-cutting programs shortly after the game was released. By December, it had lost a CEO, been raided by Swedish authorities, and filed for administration. Last month, Starbreeze announced it was delaying the console versions of Overkill's The Walking Dead indefinitely, and now that Skybound has pulled out, it seems unlikely they will ever come out. As of today, we have terminated our contract with Starbreeze Studios and will discontinue all efforts on Overkill's The Walking Dead, reads an excerpt of Skybound's statement. We did our best to work with Starbreeze and resolve many issues that it was with the game, but ultimately Overkill's The Walking Dead did not meet our standards, nor is it the quality that we were promised. We are exceedingly sorry to our fans and share their disappointment in the game. Gamasutra has reached out to Skybound and Starbreeze for more information, but it's yet unclear what will happen to the PC versions of the game, currently available for sale on platforms like Steam. In our sprint meeting this past week, the question of paying streamers to play our game on Twitch and YouTube came up. It led to a longer discussion and brought up some important questions that I do like to bring up here, and without trying to reach a conclusion, make people aware of the things we have to consider for the future. The conversation centered around the idea that we want some streamers to play our new update to our game Ultimate Chicken House a few days before the release, so that we can build some hype around the launch of the new content. How should we approach the streamers? Do we pay them directly? Do we go through something like that Twitch bounty? Do we simply offer them the exclusive early content and hope they play it without compensation? There is not necessarily a clear answer for this question, so I will try to formulate some thoughts here. The first thing to look at is the relationship between all of the parties. The ones involved here are. So here's what I think the current situation looks like, and the green arrow with it is what my team discussed in our meeting. If you look at the relationship between any two groups mentioned here, it should make sense. For example, PLATFO Aranmasu receive money from advertisers, and advertisers get visibility in exchange. Advertisers also pay streamers directly and get visibility directly through them. The cash comes back to them from viewers of the content, which being COMEDICONSUMERSWHENA by the products being advertised to them. The relationship between the streamer and the developer is the more complicated one here. The developer creates games that the streamer can use to create content for their viewers, and content for the platforms to show to their viewers. In return, the game developers get visibility from the streamers because of their viewers. The question we were discussing seems to be whether or not the creation of the game is enough to justify the visibility being given to the developer, or if there should be money involved that comes from the developer, and not only from the advertisers, either directly or through the platform. So if we look only at the money flow, it gets injected into the system by people who are engaging with the system, presumably funded by their jobs. The cash comes to the developers when the viewers are convinced to buy the game and become gamers. The cash goes to the advertisers when people become net consumers. The cycle can continue because the developers, streamers, platforms, and advertisers are making money and the gamers and viewers are happily spending it. I will not claim to know what is best for this system, and how we should go about ensuring that everyone is happy and well paid. I am glad the conversation came up in our meeting, because I think it's useful to write this kind of thing out, and it brings up some interesting questions. Another thing that came up, far better or far worse, was the idea that indie game studios sometimes ride on the big marketing budgets of the AAA companies in terms of streamers getting compensated. If a streamer makes $30K for playing a new Ubisoft game, they will not bother asking a small indie a $200 for the same amount of time in their game, for many reasons. If the decision is that developers should pay streamers for the visibility they provide, is it fair to ride on the back of these huge studios? I realize that this post is asking a lot more questions than it's answering, but that's kind of the point. We do not know what the future of this relationship will look like just yet, but it's going to be us, developers, alongside streamers, who will need to figure it out. We all want what's best for all parties, and we want to be fair to all parties above all else. What do you think about this? The post is also up on my blog, but feel free to comment here. Thanks for reading. 3. Nintendo claims bumper software sales have invigorated the Switch in its latest financials, but that has not stopped the company from lowering the console's full-year sales forecast. According to its fiscal report for the 9 months ended December 31st,
2018
Nintendo now only expects Switch hardware sales to total 17 million units by the end of the financial year, on March 31st.
2019
It had previously anticipated sales of 20 million units. On the handheld front, Nintendo also reduced its full-year 3DS hardware forecast down to 6 million units from 4 million units. Looking at the company's overall performance, net sales rose by 16.4% year-over-year to 997.3 billion yuan, $9.90 billion, while profits increased by 24.9% to 168.8 billion yuan, $1.55 billion, during the same period. Over the past 9 months, 3 Nintendo Switch titles: Super Mario Party 5, 3 million units, Pokémon Let's Go 10 million units, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 12.08 million units, managed to pull in record sales. To help boost Switch hardware, the sales of third-party games also continues to grow steadily, and the Switch now boasts 1 million plus selling titles. Overall, cumulative Switch software sales for the past 9 months clocked in at 19.64 million units, an increase of 109% year-over-year. Those burgeoning software sales gave Switch hardware a shot in the arm, with console sales rising by 19.5% year-on-year to 14.49 million units. In Nintendo's digital business, sales of downloadable titles, download-only software, and add-on content also witnessed growth on the Switch, and combined to bring in digital sales of 84.2 billion yuan, $775.5 million, a year-over-year increase of 95.1%. Lifetime Switch hardware sales now stand at 32.27 million units, while lifetime Switch software sales have reached 163.61 million units. Moving on to the 3DS, The aging handheld saw hardware sales fall by 65% to 31 million units, while software sales also tumbled by 65% to 11.08 million units. On the mobile front, Nintendo's smart device-related income rose by 14.7% year-on-year to 33.3 billion yuan, $306.7 million. The company partly attributes that increase to the launch of Overkill Last, which reportedly grossed around $28 million in its first month on digital shelves. Despite lowering its hardware forecast for both the Switch and 3DS, Nintendo has not revised its overall financial outlook, and still expects to see net sales of 1.2 trillion yuan, $10.6 billion, and profits of 165 billion yuan, $1.46 billion, by the end of the financial year, on March 31st.
2019
Today the organizers of FGDC 2019 and its game narrative, Sony officially announced the 2019 winners of the annual Student Narrative Analysis Competition. All of WHOM received IVE passes to attend the conference next month. If you are not familiar with this competition,